Fridays and Saturdays at 2 on WWDB for Investors Schooling Live with real estate and stock options trading. And the school you've been waiting for. Listen to the radio show on WWDB Mondays and Saturdays at 2 p.m. or register for one of our free Thursday night classes at investorschooling.com. Go register at investorschooling.com right now.
Catch Food Farms and Chefs every Tuesday at 6 p.m. evening drive time on Talk Radio WWDB and WPEN HD2 97.5 FM. We have a chef, Jim Blum, chef, bourbon, wine lover, and all-around foodie. We have a food photojournalist,
Amaris Pollock, food photojournalist, food lover, and coming to you live on Food Farms and Chefs.
Food Farms and Chefs, 6 p.m. evening drive time, right here. Catch us. WWDB, 8:60 a.m.
Hi, I'm Dr. Anita Chandra with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Helmets are important for every bike ride, no matter how short. Did you know helmets are also important to wear when skateboarding, inline skating, or riding a scooter? A helmet can protect against a skull fracture or other facial injuries. Look for a helmet that fits correctly and that's certified for safety. Make sure you and your child wear a helmet every time. For more, visit healthychildren.org or talk with your pediatrician.
WWDB 860 AM Philadelphia and WPEN HD2 Burlington, Philadelphia. The following programming is sponsored by the Fishtown Kensington Area Business Improvement District. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Basin Media Group.
Happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy. Good morning, everybody. Richie talking about Philadelphia. The greatest things that ever happened to you is here again. Entertainment on Fishtown Live. 8:60 a.m. The Big Talker. Mark and Kae Anderson. She looks confused to wonder who the Heckle and Jekyll are. Good morning, Kae. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mark.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling a lot better than last week.
Matt and I had to hold down the Fort Wells. Good morning. Good morning, baby bear. How are you? Papa Bear. Kae was out last week, and Kae is the biggest tripper there. We had a very bad case of the scabies with pneumonia and everything else mixed in, but she was trapped and risen above it. Nothing shows more, by the way, Matt, than a rather into this show. We're talking about, of course, bloomers in the garden. That's right. We just have different video like brothers. And what's wonderful about it, every week there's something fabulous that I pick up from it. Today was the extravaganza is
fabulous Fishtown District for all things spectacular, wonderful, minus bloomers, of course. You can find it at
Fishtowndistrict.com.
She nails it every time. She is the queen of multitasking, Kae. I don't know what we would do without her. And Kae,
Yes.
how can we watch and see and learn more about not just this fabulous program, but everything going on in the district?
You can go to our Facebook page, Fishtown District, or catch us on YouTube, Fishtown District.
I don't know. You got the radio voice of radio voices. Doesn't she just nail it, Matt? Great job, baby bear. Scabies? Yeah. Scurvy led to the scabies. She sure did. If she's working, or otherwise she would have lunged across the table and went right for my jugular.
My reflexes really aren't that great this morning.
Mine either. So
Yeah.
then
You're safe today.
you'd have plenty of time to get here. And by the way, if you want to be part of the magic that is this show, and let's be honest, why wouldn't you? Give us a call at 888-329-3306. That's 888-329-3306. And I will tell you, this is going to be an action-packed show today. Besides, of course, saddling up Uni and going to visit Kay in Kay's Corner. We sort of went there last week. We kind of half, whatted it. Exactly. We brought Uni out, but we never kind of quite got there because Kay wasn't here. We've got What's Mark Wearing. We've got Kay's Track of the Week. You've got the magic that is really me. But also we have such a beautiful day today. It's going to be in the 60s, middle of the week. There's so much going on in the city of Philadelphia, but really there's so much happening in the Fishtown District, and really nothing can get us started more. Uni, you ready? There we go. There we go. By the way, did I hear right? Uni the Unicorn? Who did this? Was that McCartney or Usher? Here I thought I was being original in naming them, but we're going to settle up. And Kay, are you ready to welcome us, or do you need a few more minutes?
Can we take a break first?
Really?
I mean, my audio is off, so it's up to you.
You know what we're gonna do? You know what? Or should I just keep going and talking?
You can keep talking. That's
I
fine.
want to keep going and talking. I think that we're going to do that today. Last week was a big week in the Fishtown District. Not everything has to do with figs and Biff and Julio. We did have our Back to the Future Day. Baby Bear, I didn't see you there. Oh, that's why. So I will tell you, first and foremost, it was awesome. Because even though we knew of all the stuff we were going to have, I'm talking about original movie props, including the, DeLorean, Marty's pickup truck, and I had to sort of Google that to be true, that there actually was a pickup truck. Mayor, whatever his name is, Mayor, yes. By the way, I'd vote for him every year, Beer with Cheese. That'll lead me into one of my favorite Halloween costumes. But, I forgot, Goldie Wilson. That's it. We had his campaign truck there. Plus the hoverboard and all that other stuff. So you walk outside and it's a beautiful day. And then literally within an hour or two, the temperatures plummeted like 20, 30 degrees.
So of course, I was wearing muscle shirts to show off the guns because everyone's got to buy a ticket to the gun show. Thank you very much. But the most important thing was we went inside and it was packed. Everyone had a ball. Everybody loved seeing all the stuff. People dressed up as Marty and Doc. Got to thank the guys at Evil Genius Beer Company. Justin, who we had last week, who's probably still sitting in the lounge, didn't think to come into the studio. Trevor and the rest of the staff.
How was the beer? Didn't they say they had a special one
They did.
that they were going to release?
It was like a strawberry rhurbarb.
Did you try it?
I did try it.
Was it good?
It was good. It was interesting.
Sounded pretty good.
It was, it's sort of, I thought that was my way of getting my fruit intake for the day.
Yep.
And I felt better
part
for
of
it.
the pyramid.
Yes, exactly. Well said by you.
Thank you.
And just people kept coming out throughout the day and got a big kick out of it. So we're so thankful to have had that and thankful for everybody that came out. It's starting to get kind of cold now. So now we're back in business. Nobody can talk nonsensically better than I can. So I'm going to finish that. Kay, you were there.
I was there.
We missed each other.
Yes.
You missed. I was going to pay Rowdy Randy, who I know is listening, $1,000 to make a mad rush for the DeLorean while screaming, "I'm going back to the future, suckers." She wouldn't do it.
I would have paid to see that too.
Exactly.
I completely understand.
And I want to give her, but I want to give her
some props. She was trying to finesse one of the security guards to see if she could just get to the car because there was money in it for her if she could just get there. And then they switched the security personnel.
Oh man.
She couldn't do it. But she was thinking, you know what? Let's give her a little respect, a little applause.
Hey, go ahead.
Rowdy Randy doing something crazy. But what time did you get there, Kay?
I probably got there around 1.
Yeah, I think we went to get something to eat at that point because it was 2 degrees.
Yeah.
It really just dropped.
Yeah, it did.
And if you ever want to hear whiny Mark,
Put him in the cold.
put him in the cold when he's not ready for it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not pleasant for anyone, said the single man. But it was really cool. It was packed I guess the cold was good for business for Evil Genius because it was packed in there.
Yeah, it definitely was packed inside. Because we were hungry too when we got there, and we went inside, saw how packed it was, and we were like, oh yeah, no, we're not. So we just stayed for the memorabilia viewing and then kind of got out of there pretty quickly.
We went to Chew.
Oh, nice.
For lunch, yes.
Oh, Mark, I had
Snap.
Hefe for the first time last night.
Happy, joy, happy, joy.
I thought of you and everything. In my explanation to Sam, I was like, okay, so we're going to have white people Mexican tonight, but Mark and Randy both swear by it. I haven't had it, but they say it's good.
Now, I'm going to say this. I've had someone who was, Hispanic try it. Wasn't thrilled.
No, it's white people Mexican food.
Now, I want to be very clear with that. When she's saying white people Mexican food, she's saying really it's a different taste of Mexican food.
It's not spicy?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I had the spicy chicken nachos.
What was spicy?
So spicy was built into the title.
But your definition of spicy and my definition of spicy, your definition of spicy still needs hot sauce.
Yeah, you definitely like they have it like McDonald's spicy nuggets and stuff.
Those aren't spicy.
They're not spicy.
Hello, false advertising. Have you had the spicy nuggets at Wendy's? Let's get back to Kay's story. Because, by the way, if you want to be part of the nacho conversation, give us a call at 888-329-3306. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kay. Collection of spicy, which you can only find in the fabulous Fishtown District. Where, Kay?
Fishtowndistrict.com.
Let's saddle up and go to Kay's Corner.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? Stop what you're doing and listen. Nobody.
Listen to me now. Pay attention.
Kay's Corner. Welcome.
We're here. We made it.
Everybody missed you last week.
I missed last week.
We did miss, but your health was more important.
Did you listen to the show?
Right, baby bear?
Yes. Did you listen? We were wondering if you were listening to the show while you're sick.
No, I was in bed. I gotta be honest.
When he feels sicker.
Yeah, good point.
No, it was a little early. I woke up and I was like, yeah, no, I can't make it today.
But you know what? She's killing it now.
Yep, making up for it.
Insulting white people every 2 seconds in one of our restaurants. What else you got in store for us, Kay?
I mean, hey,
what's
they are
happening?
what they are. So we have a lot of things happening over here in the Fishtown District.
That's unique.
No, that's Mark.
That's you.
We all know that's
I'm
Mark.
sitting still.
Dude, stop.
So we had a new business open yesterday, which I am very excited about.
Yes.
Jenny's Ice Cream is now officially open. They had their soft opening yesterday. I believe that their hours are open until 10 p.m. So late night ice cream is available in the Fishtown District. They have some awesome holiday flavors out right now, including cognac and gingerbread.
That's interesting. By the way, what was the one you posted with the bagel?
Oh yeah, they have an everything bagel flavor, but I think that was a limited one for like late spring, early summer, so I might not be able to get it anymore.
Darn.
Yeah, I was a
Darn
little
it.
upset about that, but maybe they'll bring it back. And even if they don't, they have a ton of other flavors that sounded delicious that I'm willing to try.
I believe that is
22?
Yeah.
1322
Frankfurt
Frankfurt
Avenue.
Avenue.
Do they have the white people Mexican food flavor?
They have Mexican hot chocolate.
I want to be very clear. Mark Colazzo is not participating in this conversation.
That's fine.
How dare you? And vanilla's awesome, Matt.
Yes.
They do. And Mark, I made sure they do have vanilla.
Yes.
So in addition to Jenny's Ice Cream opening, we also have plenty of other businesses that have opened recently. You can check them all out on our website, fishtowndistrict.com. We do have a business directory there. Additionally, our Small Business Saturday event is coming up. That's going to be the Saturday after Thanksgiving, the 27th, over at Evil Genius. It'll be happening from 12 to 6 p.m. We have over 30 vendors signed up at this point, so it should be a great collection of gifts and things that you can get for your loved ones for the holiday season, which is right around the corner.
Hard to believe that it's here already.
I mean, and I feel like everybody has to start shopping a little bit earlier this year because we have supply chain issues, inflation, and of course, delivery is still going to be a nightmare. So make sure that you shop now and shop local so you don't have to deal with any of those issues.
And where's the best place to shop local, Kay?
You know, we have a ton of great retail businesses here in the Fishtown District.
Oh, perfect.
You can go again to our website, fishtowndistrict.com. In a couple of weeks at our Small Business Saturday event, you'll also be able to pick up a couple of maps of the area that will point you to all of our local businesses, including a map specifically for retail, one for health and wellness, and one for food and drink.
They came out awesome.
Yes, very.
By the way,
excited about
those
those.
I hear are also awesome stocking stuffers.
Yeah, I mean,
Who doesn't want a map of the greatest place ever? By the way, our guest today, as we talk about, different districts, our colleague Job of the Old City District, he even off the record will go, Fishtown's better. Fishtown's better.
I like that you're saying that before we introduce him, just so we can make
well,
sure.
he's sitting there nodding. I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
In addition to that, one of my favorite events, or I guess like reoccurring shows that has been a Fishtown staple for many, many years is about to come back for the first time since the pandemic.
A very Usher Christmas?
No,
Oh.
It's called This is the Decade. So it used to be This is the Year. And this is a event that's hosted by Reef the Lost Cause. If you haven't heard of Reef the Lost Cause, he is a great rapper, straight out of Philly. But it's him, it's Bo Blitz, it's one other DJ whose name is escaping me right now. But they
Jazzy
basically
Jeff?
No,
Oh.
I think it's Edmund. But they basically curate a night where they put together a DJ set with paying attention to a specific year, or in this case, the whole decade of the 90s. And then they create like a nostalgic vibe, and the DJs are just amazing. The crowd that goes to this event is great.
Never heard of this. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those like hidden gems of Philly that like if you're in the scene, this is one of those parties that you know is going to be a great night. So that is actually happening the Wednesday before Thanksgiving
And where's that going to be?
at Johnny Brenda's.
Oh,
Johnny
awesome.
Brenda's upstairs. So you do need to be vaccinated for that event. So make sure you bring your vax card.
I'm perfect.
But I will definitely try and be there. I'm very excited about that.
That
coming
sounds
back.
awesome. Baby Bear, did you know all those DJs?
No, Baby Bear.
Baby Bear
Not
is
all of
killing
them.
me.
I don't know where that came from, but all right.
Yeah, so that'll be a fun night. I will definitely be there. So that's Wednesday. And then we have that Saturday. So, you can see your family in between, I guess, at Thanksgiving if you want to. But as soon as that's all over, we have the holiday season here in the Fishtown District. Get excited. We have a lot of fun things happening. The first of which, even starting now, we do have, in the Fishtown District, we like to give back for the holidays.
Always do.
So we have a bunch of Toys for Tots locations set up now, and they will be collecting until December 11th. So if you have new unwrapped toys, we have a bunch of places you can drop them off, including the Barbary, Vince's Pizzeria, Brooklyn Bull, Punchline Philly, the Fillmore, Philadelphia Barber Co., JG Real Estate, Garage, Johnny Brenda's, Joe's Steaks, Bottle Bar, Twal, Fishtown Jewelers, Fishtown Social, Amalgam Comics and Coffee, Play Arts, Middle Child, Front Street Cafe, The International, Evil Genius, Kensington Food Co-op, Kensington Quarters, or the Fishtown District office.
Wow, that's an all-star list right there.
23 different locations throughout the neighborhood.
Thank you to all of them who agreed to do that. That's awesome.
And, since there's 23 different places, there's no excuse to not stop and drop one off.
Absolutely.
So make sure that you are giving back this holiday season. If you have any new or gently used clothing, you can drop that off at the Kensington Community Food Co-op, or at any of our local thrift stores, Circle Thrift. Or if you have canned goods, the co-op is also doing a food drive as well for the Coral Street Fridge, which is right outside. So at any point, if you have food donations, you can always drop them off there to the Coral Street Fridge.
That's awesome. I'd love to see that during the holidays where, our businesses are still recovering from, the effects of the pandemic and and all the supply chain things you talked about, but they always step up when it comes to trying to help people. So that's great to see.
Absolutely. So shout out to all of our businesses for that. We really appreciate that as always. And on December 11th, to culminate with the end of this Toys for Tots drive, we are having a big event, bringing back one of our holiday favorites for the third year, the Fishtown Freeze.
Awesome.
So that event, if you haven't seen it before, it is neighborhood wide. There's a bunch of different participating locations. And it turns into just a great day wandering around the neighborhood, having a cocktail here, a bite to eat there, seeing a bunch of ice sculptures, including some live carves. And then we end the day down at the Winter Wonderland at the Fillmore, where we will have pictures with Santa and Mrs. Claus.
Awesome.
Tons of giveaways for the kids, and a special holiday concert featuring some local young talent.
That's going to be a lot of fun. You also see me dressed up again as a Christmas tree.
I'm excited.
Feel free to comment on my lovely branches.
I feel like I need to costume this year.
I think you should.
Yeah, I didn't costume any other year, so I feel like I should at least have one of those like Mickey Christmas hats or something.
Yeah, get into the spirit. And I think Live Nation, thank you. I think they're going to get some more costumes, so you'll have your selection.
Great. I really just want a hat. Like I don't need more than a hat.
Oh, we get one of those little.
Yeah, just give me a hat. Yeah.
We're hoping Mrs. Claus doesn't go into diabetic shock like last year from eating all the candy. But we love having her. The kids from St. Laurentius will be doing caroling. And then, of course, we have
New Groove Studio. So they're a local music education program. They have been housed out of Play Arts. They also do independent lessons for kids as well. So they're having basically their holiday recital. So they'll have a ton of their students ranging from middle school through high school, and then some of their instructors will also play. And their instructors are professional musicians working here in Philadelphia.
That's going to be awesome. And what time does this extravaganza start?
So the whole, like I said, Fishtown Freeze is the whole day. So that'll begin around 11 a.m. And then the culminating ice bonfire, which we didn't even mention the bonfire.
Oh, hello.
Right. Ice bonfire. That should have been the lead in.
Come on, baby bear. You got to keep us on our toes.
The Winter Wonderland ice bonfire and pictures with Santa and all of those fun things. Those will begin at 4 p.m. down at the outdoor stage of the Fillmore, and that'll go till about 7.
Going to be awesome and cold.
It
But worth it.
certainly will be, but it definitely will be worth
Listen,
it.
we did it last year, and that was a drive-through winter wonderland.
And the turnout, Mark, was incredible.
It truly was something to see.
So we're expecting a lot of folks to come out this time as well. So make sure that you get there early so you can get your pick of the treats, especially if you have little ones.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's you, baby bear. Come get your treats.
I'll get my treats.
And your Bloomers in the Garden Christmas celebration. Oh, we'll see. We should ask Biff and Julio to come.
Maybe they might if you don't call him Biff.
What's his name?
Len.
Len. That's right. I won't tell Biff then. Yeah, but anyway, we're still in the corner.
You're still on the Back to the Future thing with the Biff.
Oh, that's true.
That's what that was from? Okay.
I who knows what goes on in my head.
We were all wondering. But yeah, with that, I feel like it's time for Case Track.
Oh, yes. Word.
So
You always know to wait for it.
I do. I've learned now. So this week, I actually got sent some exclusives. So get excited. One of the favorite bands of the show, Dirty Soap, is dropping their latest new album this Friday.
Awesome.
Their album is called Front and Gerard.
That's so cool.
So I felt it was only appropriate that we debuted one of their newest singles here. So this is Don't Baby Leave, I think.
I never would.
I think that's the name of it.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Matt. So that was Dirty Soap with Don't Baby Leave.
I love that. Those guys are awesome, and they are so much fun.
They definitely are.
And you have had them out at our different events. So again, Front and Gerard is the name of the new album.
Yes, and they have an album release party, I believe, coming up. It is at the Fire, which is at 5th and Gerard, just outside of our district. Yeah, you know, they named their album Front and Gerard, so we can't not talk about it.
True.
But yeah, they are having an album release party. You can find all the details for that on their Facebook page. Just look up Dirty Soap.
Love it. And while we stay in the corner, Baby Bear, what time is it?
It is time to find out. Oh, it's America's Best
Come on, do
Game
it.
Show. What is Mark wearing?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi.
Today? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today?
Well done, Baby Bear. And What's Mark Wearing is brought to you by Fabulous Fabrica, the greatest in entertainment and dining. You can find it all in one place. Fabrica in the fabulous Fishtown District. That's Fabrika. The K stands for
Kae is returned from illness from last week.
I can see that you really filled my shoes with Matt.
Yes. Yes.
Matt has a lot of speaking roles today.
He does.
I'm still trying to figure out this baby bear thing.
Well, baby bear, I'll tell you when we come back, but baby bear is a term of affection.
Okay.
And it's well
I would
earned.
hope so.
So today is, I want to keep my loud theme of you normally I wear the short sleeve button down. Well, it's colder now. So this is longer sleeve. But you know what? After a big win on Sunday, the Birds went down to Denver or out to Denver and laid a shellacking to the Broncos. So what does that spell? Come on, baby bear. We'll be here all day.
Eagles.
We'll be here all day.
Eagles.
Yeah, the guy, girl. So today is the long sleeve Hawaiian shirt because got some pineapples and the Eagle sign. I want you to get in the and feel like you're at the beach.
I must say, this is the most tropical long sleeve situation I've ever seen.
I have several more to go.
All with the long sleeves?
Yes. I was going to bring them all today, so I'd be like share in each segment. I'd have a different shirt, but then I would have to be scrambling at future episodes.
Never let it not be said that Mark doesn't have variety.
No, I always do.
You see Hawaiian shirts long sleeves, so that's kind of
Exactly. See, this is really almost like we could do a whole episode about this. 888-329-3306.
I'm also noticing that it's a different fabric than traditional Hawaiian shirts. It's more of like
Argyle
the dress shirt.
Eagles. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So you could wear this to a cotillion or to a formal event. Maybe even she's Googling cotillion. It's like a coming of age thing. Baby bears have
I
them.
know what a cotillion is.
How
I'm
was
switching
yours,
the camera
Baby
so
Bear?
that they can see my face.
You know what?
could put a tie on with that too, because it's got the collar. And
One day, you know what I'm going to bring in for you? I actually have Eagles pants.
But what color tie would you match with that?
You got to go solid, I think.
You definitely got to go solid, but do you do like
Black
red?
or green?
Pineapple colored?
Yeah, exactly.
pineapple one. That would be
You know
cool.
what? We're going to have our guest come on because he's omnipotent. We're going to take a quick break, but we're going to talk about Kae, what we do.
Yes.
Which is we help run a corridor. We run a business improvement district.
We sure do.
We're going to talk to people about what it's about, the importance of them in building commerce throughout the city, and how we can help make change to help our business community. And no one can better do that. I'm not even going to give him a nickname because if you just say the word Job, you know exactly who he is. We'll be back in 2 and 2.
It's been part of Philly for over 10 years, so Rivers Casino Philadelphia knows how you like to play. With better odds, more playtime, an upgraded rewards program, plus a state-of-the-art sports book, great restaurants, and more. Everything that real players want without the overpriced distractions. Rivers Casino Philadelphia is for those who play to win, not play to pay for some fancy new place. Rivers Casino Philadelphia, always on our game. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hi, I'm Dr. Anita Chandra with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. To keep your family healthy and safe, it's important to be ready if disasters happen. Develop a family communication plan. Make sure your family, including your children, know how to reach each other. Make a kit with first aid supplies, medicine, medical records, and comforting things for your child. Finally, talk about what to do when emergencies happen, like streets flooding, a power outage, or a fire. For more, visit healthychildren.org.
Wonder if you should get tested for colorectal cancer? Well, it's the second leading cancer killer in the US, and screening helps prevent it. So if you're 50 or older, it's time. Even if it doesn't run in your family, most often, colorectal cancer occurs in people with no family history. And it doesn't always cause symptoms, especially early on. So don't wait for symptoms to get tested. Screening helps prevent the disease by finding precancerous polyps so they can be removed. Remove the polyp, prevent the cancer. Screening also helps find colorectal cancer early when treatment works best. You might be thinking, oh no, not that test. But here's the thing, you have options. There's more than one screening test. Talk to your doctor to find the one that's right for you. No more excuses. If you're over 50, get tested because colorectal cancer screening really does save lives. A message from HHS and CDC's Screen for Life campaign.
Happy
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Find It at Fishtown Live here on WWDB 860 AM. Brought to you by the fabulous Fishtown District, the greatest place on planet Earth. And for all things fun, happy, joyful. By the way, before we introduce how they can find that out, I always find it amusing that after we have truly some of the most depressing public service announcements, and this, of course, was getting your butthole checked, colon rectal, whatever.
Colorectal.
Yeah, exactly. And every time Baby Bear and I immediately joined eyes and cringed because we know that that's uncomfortable. And then it comes back with our stupid song. So it really is fitting. But hey, you know what?
I'll try to find happier ones to throw in.
I got some choices. But anyway, Kay, where can we find out great things happening in the Fishtown District?
You can always go to fishtowndistrict.com.
Atta girl. She stayed, you know what? Professional to the end. If you want to be part of the fabulous conversation here, give us a call at 888-329-3306. That's 888-329-3306. We've kept this gentleman waiting long enough, and this guy's a pretty big deal.
I know that reference.
Atta girl. See?
Yeah.
I'm so proud of her.
Uh-huh.
He's a friend. He is a colleague. He has helped really not just transform Old City, but really carry it through some difficult stages with the pandemic. And we're here to talk a little bit about today about what we do. So without further ado, Baby Bear, get ready. My good friend, Job Itzkowitz. Job, how are you?
Hi, Mark. How are you? I'm good. Thank you.
So, by the way, the biggest conversation we had to worry about with Job was, what was Job wearing today? Well, Job took care of that by turning his camera off. Well done by you.
I'm happy to put it on. I predicted you would be wearing an Eagles hoodie, but I was only slightly off.
No, today I was a little more dressy just for you. You really do class up the place, and I want to thank you for that. So
there we go.
This has been sort of for not just for the country, but for what we do, a pretty interesting year and a half, 2 years. Before we kind of get into the nitty gritty about your background and what you do, tell everybody the short version of what a business improvement district is.
Sure. A business improvement district supplements municipal services, and that's pretty much true everywhere from where they started in Canada to most places in the US and in the United Kingdom and a few other countries. But the idea is that where cities struggling over the last few decades were unable to provide certain services that we would traditionally think of as city services, commercial property owners got together and said, well, let's provide those same services in our area, and we will assess ourselves a fee to cover the cost of those services. So at its base level, it's about keeping the neighborhood in which it's serving clean and safe. And over years, bids have grown from that to take on marketing and promotions, economic development, placemaking. But the basic service is keeping a neighborhood clean and safe to help promote business.
And why are they so important? Really, not just for the neighborhood, but for the city as a whole.
Well, I mean, if we just think back to this past year, it's hard to imagine going to visit a place, spending money, going out for dinner, going to see a show, shopping in a place that's covered in litter, or in a place where there's excessive criminal activity. These services help keep not just the neighborhood going, but keep revenue streaming into the city, keep residents wanting to stay in those neighborhoods. So they are extremely important, certainly in Philadelphia, but I think in cities across the country.
And you're executive director of the Old City District down in Center City. So it has certainly seen its changes over the time that you have been there. What drew you to this type of work?
I think it's about maximizing impact. So my background is that I was a commercial litigator. That didn't really scratch the itches I had to improving the city. So I did a lot of nonprofit work and left private practice to go work in city council as director of policy and legislation for a council member, and then had the opportunity to come to Old City. And I really think it's a great way to be able to have that impact. Being able to have it so hyper locally focused is a way to advance causes in a way that's more difficult at a larger governmental level.
Philadelphia is always known. They talk about it being the biggest smalls or the smallest big city, whatever they say. But it really is. It's a city of neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
And tell us a little bit about what you would say the personality spirit of Old City is and how it's maybe evolved in the time you've been there.
Sure. I mean, I think a lot about Old City even more broadly. Obviously, this is where the country was founded, and we're gearing up for a huge celebration in 2026. But so much of what Old City is about is born out of that history. And I don't just mean the colonial history, but also just the fact that it was a waterfront district. And a lot of our buildings were built in relationship to the docks that were there. And so we have an architecture that supported light industrial manufacturing, warehousing, things involving those ports. And so when you look back to the history of Old City, by the 1980s, obviously the port wasn't there anymore. Those buildings were still there, and warehousing wasn't going on as much. So you started to draw the types of tenants you would expect into these spaces, which were largely artists, studios, and art galleries. So by the early 1990s, there were enough art galleries in place to start an arts walk, which was First Friday, which is celebrating its 30th year this year. Obviously a bit interrupted in light of the ability to gather inside, certainly earlier in the year. But I think that then drew other types, furniture showrooms, and then eventually tech companies. We have these buildings that manifested creativity. Now, the flip side of that is that in the mid-90s and into the early aughts, those same giant buildings provided very convenient nightclub spaces. And Old City developed a reputation for being a nightlife district, which was okay. And then eventually the overabundance of nightclubs drew a negative reputation as a nuisance area. And the fact is, times have changed. It's funny. I heard Kae mention Bo Blizz earlier. I am old enough and was once cool enough to have Bo Blizz DJ one of my Halloween parties about 15 years ago.
Job.
Yeah. It's hard to believe. Look at me now, button down shirt and a sweater.
One day.
But that's not what was going on in Old City. We had lines out the door, there was issues with intoxication, but times change and people desire different types of entertainment. So I actually had this best explained to me by Taib Smith about how cultural desires change generationally. And, we're probably around the same age in our 40s. And we talked about how when we wanted to go out in, the late 90s, early aughts, it was aspirational. We wanted to, drink an expensive martini and sit on the tuffet and dress up. And the next generation came in and they wanted like a really good quality beer at a really good value and to be very comfortable. And it was just a generational shift. So, while the Old City District worked to reduce nuisance issues related to nightclubs. And at one point we had like 30 nightclubs. We now have about 2. Part of that was also a generational shift. But at the end of the day, to answer your question, Mark, I think what we see in Old City is independent ownership still informed by the architecture, because we have a lot of spaces that are 20 feet wide and 100 feet deep. And those spaces don't lend themselves to a Target. They don't lend themselves to big box retail. They do lend themselves to small boutique retailers that are independently owned who sell products from local manufacturers and artisans. And so our tagline in Old City is independent by design. And we have about 300 retail storefronts, and I think among them maybe 5 chains, a CVS, a 7-Eleven. But beyond that, everything is locally owned. A great place to come shopping or go out to eat. And I think that's Old City's identity today. It's independence, creativity, tech firms, and those types of businesses.
I could just sit and listen to him for hours, but I have to ask you a question, just for our listeners who may not remember the nursery rhyme, because you are the first person I've heard use the word tuffet in a description of anything. We all know the Little Miss Muffet story, but could you tell what a tuffet is?
I picture it as like a small cushioned seat or, footrest, something where you're sitting low to the ground. That's for
I'm
sure.
just going to call you Webster from now on. Well, I'm sorry. Kay had a question that was far more probably interesting than mine was.
It's about the Halloween party.
Yeah.
No, so you kind of touched on one of the similarities between both of our districts when speaking about art-based revitalization. Old City has the history of being the center of where artists moved to in the city for a while. And then, we saw artists kind of gradually move north to Northern Liberties and then eventually to Fishtown, which kind of brought a lot of the development and culture up to our neighborhood. When working with artist-based revitalization or an arts-based revitalization, what are some of the special considerations that go into that style of work for you?
That's a great question. So, we've been fortunate to have more galleries than any other neighborhood in the city for decades. But our challenge that we're facing now is the way art is consumed at the retail level. So it used to be that you would go look at art in person, either by appointment or through an open gallery. And if you found something you liked, you bought it, or maybe someone tipped you off, there would be a piece you were interested in. And now a lot of the business has moved to Instagram, and a lot of the business has moved to private buyers, but also a lot of the business has moved to shows. So the retail needs of art galleries have changed, and you might see more warehousing needs and the opportunity to, pay lower rent elsewhere. So we try and do everything we can to support the identity and support the galleries that are in existence. And we have actually had even new galleries. We've had 2 new galleries open during the pandemic, which is incredible.
Wow.
But, mostly we want to continue to support attracting people to those galleries when they're open. And certainly, while we had large plans for a 30th anniversary for First Friday, we're hoping to launch something next month, or even, I don't think anyone's going to be too upset if we celebrate the 31st anniversary. But for us, we treat those businesses equally, right? So we need to bring foot traffic for them in the same way that we need to bring foot traffic for boutiques. And that's why I think the Independent by Design label captures all of those different types of creative industries.
Absolutely. And you also mentioned talking about nightlife and some of the problems that the negative side of nightlife that kind of came to Old City after it became saturated. I know that recently there has been a lot of movement in the city as far as what they call an office of nightlife or a nightlife manager that works for the city that helps to coordinate and push policy forward to better, the resources and circumstances for nightlife businesses here in the city. As somebody who has managed a nightlife district or a district that used to historically house a lot of nightlife businesses, what are some of the top priorities that you would want to see from the city when it comes to policy for our nightlife businesses specifically?
That's a great question. So the city did just post that job this week.
Yes, they did.
Functionally a night mayor, which I know that some of our colleagues have really been advocating for. I think it would be hugely beneficial. Certainly the city has lost a lot of revenue and can use some additional after hours sales. I don't mean after 2 a.m. I just mean like after dark sales. I think it's a very important role, and it's been very successful elsewhere in the world. I know that Amsterdam's had a long night mayor program and can help facilitate additional activity in the evening hours. Now, on a personal note, I really lament the loss of Philadelphia's 24-hour diners. And so that was my first point of advocacy to the city. But we do a lot individually, and I'm sure Fishtown does also, to keep nuisances at bay, but we still want to draw foot traffic to our areas at night. And I think a coordinated effort with the city can help do that. And that can range from coordinating additional police patrols or funding for private security. But it can also be, we don't need to have car traffic on this block after 8. Let the restaurant set up and have some later dinners in a more enjoyable atmosphere. And if we can get that type of support from the city in a coordinated way, it'll be beneficial to all of the commercial districts.
I feel like that's a great segue into something that you and Marc are working on very closely now, outdoor seating.
And Joe, I wanted to before we get to that, one of the other similarities that our district have is the role that destination dining has played in really the rapid expansion and vitality of our districts. I remember in my young bon vivant days going down to
When Marc had hair, that's what that means.
That was a luscious time. Okay. Going to, the Continental, it's certainly changed. How do you view a bid's role in growing that, maintaining that, and enhancing that?
Destination dining?
Yes.
Well, the first step over the last 2 years was keeping our restaurants open to the extent we could. And certainly during the pandemic, that revolved entirely around outdoor dining, extension of liquor laws, streeteries, cafe seating. There's a benefit in my mind to co-location. And I mean that in two ways. One, it's great to be known as a district where there's great dining because people will want to explore the district. And then when they're walking past their another restaurant on their way to their destination restaurant, they might say, oh, we should come back in a couple of weeks and go to this restaurant that I'm just learning about. There's also a benefit to co-location of dining with your retail. Old cities had a little bit of a zoning history where the dining tends to be on one side and the retail tends to be on the other. But what you really see in other successful areas are, you walk past a restaurant, maybe your table's not ready, you go into the store and you go shopping. And so enhancing the overall experience of dining isn't simply just having that great chef, doing the PR, having a big kickoff. It's what are you doing when you get into that neighborhood? We certainly don't want people pulling up in their car, getting out, going to the restaurant, getting right back into their car out front. We want people to come to our neighborhoods and explore and enjoy them, more broadly.
Absolutely. And as Kay brought up with the outdoor dining, that was certainly a very huge lifeline to all of our eateries and dining establishments. And we saw the importance this year, or at least I believe, of our collective voices of the bid directors to be able to advocate for those things, because we were really, I want to pat ourselves on the back, our group, we were leading the charge for the outdoor dining in the beginning. Tell us now how you've seen first, before we talk about the specifics of it, the importance of our role as advocates for citywide change.
Well, that's a great question. And, this is something that exists elsewhere. New York City has something like 85 bids, as you can imagine, based on its size. But even Washington, D.C. has 15 bids, which is around our same number. They have all been working collaboratively with respective bid associations. And this is something that the Philadelphia bids always spoke about, but we are all very short-staffed, and many of us have only 1 or 2 employees, and it was hard to commit to. So at the beginning of the pandemic, we were able to get together to advocate with a unified voice around this one issue, and we've ended up forming the Philadelphia Bid Alliance. It's an informal organization, but it meets regularly, and it allows us to go to bat in a coordinated fashion that lifts the tide for all of Philadelphia, not just for our respective districts. So the collaboration has been great. I mean, even just small things like we had an email this week, how do I put up a bulletin board on the sidewalk, right? Small things can be really beneficial to flow through this group as well, but really to advocate for policy, for each of us to reach out to our respective elected officials on the issues that we're facing has been a tremendous benefit.
And it's a shame it took a pandemic to bring that together, because I think, and certainly tell me what you feel, there in the past, there was probably a little bit of this. We have competition. We want our districts to thrive and be the best, and we don't necessarily want to tip off what we're doing to others. So this year, really almost, but necessity brought us all together, and I think we saw how our similarities and how our respective interests can really help the city in general. And when we look at outdoor dining, that was for an old city, I know what it meant for Fishtown. Tell us what that meant for your eateries during the pandemic, that temporary legislation.
I mean, I'll just tell you what my restaurants have told me, which is that they would not have survived without those outdoor dining provisions. Certainly when no one was allowed indoors, there was no other way to serve anyone other than outside. But even today, and which is why we went to bat so hard over the last few weeks to keep this going. Even today, there are people who don't want to eat inside. I mean, I'm less comfortable eating inside. I have a 2-year-old at home who's unvaccinated, obviously. And so I do it from time to time. It's not my preference. I think there are many people like that, and the restaurants would be losing out on those checks if there wasn't this opportunity to flow into the street. But, of course, there's the bigger issue, right? We are now in a position where we're reconceptualizing how our streets work and how can we make our streets work better for people rather than for cars. We closed down 2nd Street every weekend in 2020, and half of 2nd Street, the unit block between Market and Chestnut, every weekend in warm weather, maybe since March in 2021. And I haven't heard one complaint about the loss of on-street parking. There's only about 7 or 8 spots, but no one has said, oh, we need to have that parking back. No one prefers that space for cars over space for people.
And that right there, our listeners, is the difference between Old City and Fishtown.
Well, there's another difference, though, that we don't have residential permit parking on most of our blocks. So most people can't park there most of the day. They would have to feed a meter. So that I think helped ease that transition.
We actually have no regulations whatsoever in Fishtown. So you literally, Job, if you wanted to, and I don't want you to,
please don't.
Yes, could come park your car on Frankfurt Avenue, vacation in Florida. I think you were just in Greece for 2 weeks, and then come back.
6 months.
Yeah,
I would still be there.
But it's funny you mentioned that because, listen, just as in Old City and throughout the city, our eateries really invested their time, talent, and treasure in making these sidewalk cafes and streeteries safe, beautiful, and comfortable for people. And we didn't receive one complaint about, they're taking spots away. I think people got it, but I think what we found, and I think you found this to be the same, people enjoyed the experience and want to continue it. Where do we see this now moving forward? And I giggle because I know for what we've gone through over the past several weeks. Tell us where you see the future of outdoor dining in Philadelphia.
Well, I mean, just to provide the listeners an update with what's happening in council, Mark and I both testified last week at the council hearing on the bills about outdoor dining. And while we were advocating for citywide applicability, streeteries will be allowed to continue in many Philadelphia commercial districts, including Fishtown, including Old City. The cafe seating, just the ability for a restaurant to put a table and chairs outside, historically needed a bill to pass through city council for most of our lives. It's sort of an unbelievable level of regulation. Some folks may have language barriers. Some people might not know how to call their council office and get it done. That has been extended to be allowed by right for another year, I believe, or will be. That council hasn't voted on it, but it came out of committee. But for me, if I was calling the shots, I would say the most equitable solution, the solution that gets to more of our diverse business owners, more owners across the city, is just to have one rule and not to chop it up by area.
I agree with you, Job. And I appreciate all of the work that both of you guys have put in as far as advocating on behalf of our businesses and our districts to try and find the most equitable solution. Because, even though at the point we're at now, our districts are getting a win, you guys are still out here fighting for citywide equity with this issue. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the other challenge, right? A lot of our commercial corridors, or at least a lot of our bids, are in places where commercial property owners had the wherewithal to advocate for the creation of the bid and also had enough financial investment to say, we're going to pay a little bit extra to provide additional services. Well, that's not necessarily representative of the entire city, but we wanted to make sure in the voice that we had to say, look, this is going to benefit everyone if we can do it everywhere.
Joe, where did the time go We can listen to you for hours, but unfortunately we got to go. But Job, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody go see Job in Old City. Then, of course, come to the Fishtown District to hang with me and Kay. And Job, thanks for all that you do. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Mark. Quick plug, oldcitydistrict.org. We just soft launched our new website yesterday. All of the holiday events that you want to attend in Old City can be found on the site.
Awesome.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Job. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Baby Bear. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.